Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Before I introduce you to our guest, here's a quote. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year and underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years. Roy Amar. Our guest today, friend of the Culture Matters podcast, pundit, interviewer, truth seeker, no BS, raw dog, culture man. Andrew Berman's back to talk to us today on the Culture Matters podcast. And what's the ease my I need a fix. I need a fix. I need a show. I need a show. We could talk about that today. Thanks for coming back on the Culture Matters podcast.
Thank you for having me back. Always great to spend time with you. Little late in the day for us here at 8 o'clock. I mean, this is weird. I mean, if it's not like 5 o'clock in the morning, I don't feel normal talking to you.
It's almost time to go to bed.
Yeah. Yes, I
What do you
agree.
think of that quote?
Oh, it's um
And why did I send it to like 50, maybe 55 people, something like that?
I don't know why you sent it to 55 people. I don't know. I just know how it applies to me. So like maybe you see this in other people, or maybe you just I can't comment on why you sent it to other people. But I know actually what it means to me, and I know because I just you shared that with me the other day. I'm like, yeah, that is so true. I mean, we don't take like the macro view often, and we look at this, like arbitrary measure of a year, and I mean, me again. I can't speak for everyone else. I can't speak for the other 49 people you sent that to, but I could speak for myself. And I know, I plan my year hard, like, and I set up, goals and objectives, and I'm pretty good at, capturing a lot of that stuff, but, I fail a lot. I don't hit all my goals and all my objectives, and, you know, um, but I also forget to take a step back and look at like the bigger picture. Like, so like, what about my year? Like, how is my, or I'm sorry, what about the decade? So that's kind of like how I interpreted it and kind of internalized that quote.
I think starting a business and then not succumbing to the accountability of the market and the moment to moment, interaction by interaction, commitment to commitment, ability to respond to negative stimulus, right? Responsibility crushes people. It's a crushing air coming out of the room, schizophrenic endeavor. And
Schizophrenia.
I would liken it to going to prison for 10
Really?
years. Like, so I'm looking at 10-year term or, a 15-year maximum security. Like, that's how I interpret that quote. I'm going to read the quote again. Most people overestimate. Good morning, the Culture Matters podcast. Welcome
The
to.
food's a lot better though. I'll tell you that.
Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year and underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years. I mean, for the people that are listening to this, that they have started a business and it's their thing. It's what they identify with as who they are. It's what the culture identifies with them as who they are, what they do, right? You meet somebody at a cafe and the first two, three questions. what do you do?
Yeah.
So if you're, yeah, if if what I do is only or is my creation, it's a never ending interaction between myself and the thing that I am beholden to, in control of, at the same time, at the behest of the market, at the behest of my community.
Yeah.
How about the people listening to this that have a business that they're not, they haven't yet broken in. People aren't transacting with them.
They're still in control because they're choosing to pursue it. They're choosing to, and they're choosing what they're focusing on. They're choosing, to spend an extra, 45 minutes death scrolling on TikTok, when they could spend that 45 minutes, trying to find new prospects. So they're still in control. You just, I mean, um, being an entrepreneur is flexibility, but it's not freedom. You just don't like, it's not, I mean, I honestly, I I feel like, being like a salaried worker, you have more freedom. Like, and as it was when my company got bought, like my first year, I was like, this is amazing. No matter what happens, they're going to send me a check at the end of the week. And I don't think I worked that hard that first year. I mean, granted, it was also pandemic. Um, and that was like I had the employee mindset that first year. Um, but as entrepreneurs, um, even I'm kind of, I mean, I'm still an employee and technically not an entrepreneur in the media company, but I was able to get other entrepreneurial endeavors. Um, but I now actually even view my work, as an employee for Ambiz. I still look at myself as an entrepreneur, but just with a lot less risk. But you are in control. You are in control, whether you are the one that's writing the checks for the payroll at the end of the week, or you're just receiving it. You are in control. And even I'm trying to remember, there's this phrase that people are using for being like a pseudo entrepreneur, where you're like controlling your destiny, potentially your business unit, within a larger organization. And in our industry, in the mortgage business, there's tons of that. There's tons of W-2 employees, who, yeah, every new month they wake up with a blinking cursor and no money, and they need to do whatever they can to make sure that there is money by the end of the month.
Entitlement without responsibility equals purgatory. If it's my creation, you mentioned flexibility. The person that's listed this, that started the business, is entitled. There's an entitlement within. I don't have to do whatever I don't want to do. I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. In the absence of the ability to respond to conflicts that are occurring, things going, let's say, the market, in the absence of a plan, I'll be able to respond proactively relative to the plans that I create. And then, of course, my ability to stick to those plans. But when I think of that quote, I think the reason why I think I sent it to so many people is I I think for that, whatever that minority of a minority is that does start something that employs a tremendous amount of people, there's going to be a commitment for decades. It's like the Aztecs where they would throw people off the tower after ripping their heart out, and then the blood sacrifice would keep them safe. There's few people that are going to sign up, wave their hand, and say, "Yes, pick me." Rip the heart out, throw them down the volcano, or not the volcano, the stairs, and they're
Yeah.
flowing. The blood is flowing in the Aztec Empire. Man, like, I'm
Sign
sorry.
me up.
It's hyper competitive.
Yeah.
It never stops. And I'm talking about the person that's all in on the one thing that they're doing. Like, that's what that quote resonates. They're all in because there's so much pressure with starting a business.
Hmm.
Like, you have your life and then you have the business life. And they're in conflict with one another. Like, if someone has children, they're dependents. So now the business, and it needs food and the kids need food. They both need food. They both need water. They both need time and attention. Like, I'm not going into this parenthood in the future thinking I'm going to be the world's greatest dad. It's not even something I am thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm I just don't, I just don't think I just don't think it's for, I'm not reading enough books or studying enough people that are speaking to the raw reality of what creating a culture, actually the cost of creating the business from scratch, creating an idea from scratch, not doing anything other than that one thing. Like,
Oh,
it's not 1 year.
yeah.
It's not, I mean, 1 year is within 10, 3 years within five, but 10 years, like, I'm setting that to so many people, you included, because I'm convincing myself that I'm going to the prison and I'm asking to be put in the cell. And I'm convincing myself that this is what I want to do. And that this is my choice. And that this is the right choice. And that nothing else matters in comparison to it. And one of the lies that I have to tell myself is, yes, that I'm in control. When I can only respond and react to things as they arise based on the plans and the platitudes that I articulate to everybody here.
Yeah, you have the freedom of going to the yard, for a break, or not going to the yard. You have the freedom, to doing 50 push-ups, every half hour. I mean, these are the levers that you push. And listen, when you're an entrepreneur, it is the same thing. I mean, like you can't just all of a sudden say, hey, you know something, I'm going to give away my product for 3 months, because there's a consequence to that. You got to pay for that. You can't just advertise and say whatever you want to advertise, because there's a consequence. You can say that. So you have limited number of levers that you can switch on and off, to be able to control the business, or you know control your time in jail, deciding when you're going to go to the yard, or uh you know sit at a certain table at the in the mess hall.
I want to add this though. Entitlement with resentment, through resentment, impels the founding of a business. Like, responsibility and the founding of a business are actually they're antagonistic to one another. Because people that are able to respond, like responsible people, become great employees, great executives, great CEOs or managers of businesses. Entitled, resentful, anxious people start and push through those beginning phases of the business when no one cares, or and after that, then they're distant, or let's say against the idea. Because worse than being against the idea is apathy. You bring your product to market, your business to market, nobody cares. There's a level of drive that has to come from the person that's makes people care. It's like almost, the British are coming, the British are coming, the British are coming. It takes a tremendous amount of energy, a tremendous amount of talking and not listening, controlling the narrative. Like no,
Interesting.
like no
So
listening,
so
no
so
feedback.
so knowing when when you say no listening, is it from customers who think they know what they want, or employees who think that they know what's best for the organization, but you
Well, think
have
about
a
it. A new idea. I'm saying that the founding, like that first, that the beginning of a new idea. The the people aren't going to get it,
Hmm.
or it's be their idea.
You know what you're
People
saying?
aren't going to get it. Well, I'm saying when it's the beginning. I mean, let's think about it. The beginning of a business, there are no customers.
No, you have an idea. You don't have at the beginning is hey, I have an idea. You have no corporation set up. You have no structure set up. Just some notes on the back of an envelope, saying, hey, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, so think about the engine of energy it takes to get those original customers.
Yeah, and all the the things along the way that say, hey, maybe this is not a great idea.
Yeah, like
You know.
it's not rational at all. It's not a rational endeavor. It's a passionate endeavor. It's a in a vacuum endeavor. It's a intoxicating endeavor and repelling endeavor. It's like a binary. There's people that stay fully away from it. There's people that are totally bought in, that keep that momentum going long enough for some level of economy. And this is where I'm going with this. The person that's not all in, and there's a lot of good reasons, rational reasons not to be all in, like happiness. the uh because I'd argue that actual happiness and starting a business, they have an inverted relationship. Because it's the pursuit of happiness. It's nothing about happiness. It's the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
Like meaning, uh, strong interpersonal ties. These things run inverse to the obsessive, overwhelming, tremendous energy output it takes to start something.
Well, and the other thing, actually, I think it also takes is actually loving the journey, and not just so not being obsessed with that goal of being happy, but actually just loving that journey, to find your happiness.
I think that's
And
what people say, but I think those people are liars.
I don't,
And I
something.
think that they tell people like us, and we don't, and we buy into it because it sounds like the way it should be. But unless you know, then you know. It's kind of one of those things. Like, if I just think those people are either well, I mean, if they're writing books, they're incentive, they're trying to figure it out themselves. And so that's what they're telling themselves, so that I can then read the book and then agree with them, and then they can feel better, and then that's how they get there. So I don't think that is actually accurate. I think that it reminds me of like Professor Galloway talks about all the people that made their billions in iron work, then at the end of their career tell everybody you got to do something that you love.
Yeah.
Like, no, they just now, are there exceptions? Sure, there could be an exception, but I don't
But
know.
so when you hit when I mean, and maybe this is me. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself and I'm a lone wolf in this thinking, but when I hit my actual goal, it's never as exciting as when I'm talking about that goal, or when I plan the goal, and when I'm making strides towards that goal, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm halfway to that goal. I get to the goal, I'm like, okay, I'm here, and it just and it doesn't and I personally have I've tried to shift my mindset especially as sometimes goals move. You know, you move the goalpost because you realize, okay, you know, something, maybe this goal was set a little too light, or maybe this goal was set a little too hard. So you can find yourself, at least I find myself becoming not as excited when I get to that goal. And I've been personally trying to love the the actual the pursuit of the goal more than the actual hitting the goal. You know, not saying that I am ignoring the goal, because it's still there. It's still working towards it. It's still, you know, measuring, you know, my KPIs to make sure we hit that. But I think it's important to love that process, and love the journey, and the goal that you make. You know, it's just another day, and a marker that, you know, it's time to set new goals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to refute that. But if one is employed, it's a completely different paradigm of one nestled in within a construct of inflows and outflows. One has only to, I, I would say that what I'm that being employed at an organization and the founding an organization are two completely different paradigms. That's what I'm saying. In the when I read that quote, it's I better be ready for 10 years, 20 years of, and it's not going to be fun. Like I might, after I'm like worth $100 million, I might reflect on it and say, oh, those were the good times. Because now that I have the $100 million, I'm in a less anxious state. I'm higher on the hierarchy. More people think I'm cool. More people want to be around me. More people want me to pay for their dinners. And so I'm telling you and me in the audience, because you and me are at the conference, like looking up and right, we want to be them. And I'm saying, yeah, those were the good times. Those were the good old times.
So what
I'm not,
so
I don't want to come across like I'm refuting what you said earlier about enjoying the interaction within the not being so caught off of the outcome. All of that I agree with. In the context of someone that's we're just I'm fixating on this on the psychological sacrifice the of whoever ultimately is accountable to the success of the organization and the costs are associated with it. It's before it's an institution, it lives off of the founder. I mean, if you add an element of founders, you add partnerships. Why do partnerships break? Because the degree of self-awareness and emotional sophistication, education, like liberal arts education necessary to have a healthy marriage run in contrast to the type of psychology that would even impel a business in the first place. So you have partnerships that are inherently strained as a result of the success of the business. Those partnerships succumb to the weight of the business. The people's lives interpersonally, like parents, siblings, children, spouses, they become burdened and conflicted and strained. It's one of the things that leads to partnership breaks is both whether it's 2 or 3 or 4 partners, their households become feedback loops of antagonism of the partnerships based on the conversations that are not being addressed between the spouses themselves. So there's externalized on the partners. The partners are seen as the enemy when truly it's the lack of personal responsibility of the patriarch or matriarch, whoever's working within the business themselves as they relate to their partners. That's leading to these breaks. I mean, the point is, this is to be in the operating control or yeah, this ultimate decision maker of a business is a path carved out of pain and suffering. And maybe looking at it that way, it doesn't have to be. That becomes, well, no. I mean, you can enjoy yourself as you go. However, I don't know how well someone's gonna be able to enjoy themselves as they go if they're not honest with themselves about the difficulties at hand.
I mean,
Because
but
the endeavor kind of eats you. It
yeah,
eats, so, you know.
but the endeavor eats you, but the endeavor should also fuel you because like you said, actually, you're going to look back, when you're, 100 billionaire, and say, okay, I hit my goal. I'm comfortable. My future generations are going to be very comfortable. But, and then you look back and say, wow, that was fun. You didn't, and maybe you didn't have a chance to enjoy it while it was going on.
No, and then
Um,
suicide would be next or a new business. Like the types of people that start these things are not well. They're not retiring and having a frappuccino on a beach or a colada, whatever. The people that I come across on a regular basis that sell their businesses
yeah.
regret every time. They
Yeah.
needed a coach, they needed advisors, they needed a psychologist, they needed to have a relationship with their kids that wasn't vain or, half foot in, half foot out. And they maybe a vacation for 3 weeks, but instead they sell to somebody, some group with more education. Yeah, just you're all blurry.
Uh,
That's funny. They sell reactively. They give up the keys to some third party that knows more, has more objectivity, can see what they can't see. And then after a few weeks of vacation, they look back and they think, what the hell did I do? I mean, that's every, what I'm saying, like, maybe it's a lot of the population, they have the gift of not being entrepreneurial.
well,
Because what's so bad about being a parent, loving one's kids, being present in the home, sending kids to some type of education, buying a home and paying it down, praying to whoever or whatever, not having hundreds of millions of dollars. What's so bad about like being a good citizen? Where are the narratives on social media that are telling you and me, the pride in having dinner with the family, going on date night, sending kids to school, ending up in a home and being just a good, like, a poor, nice.
Earning a salary, filling your 401k, doing max contributions, investing in target funds, working to your 67 and can start collecting Social Security. I mean, yeah, listen,
Maybe that's
I'm
great.
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, and yeah, like there are times where I've wondered, like, what would that be like? But you know something? I like knowing that anything is possible. And um, I had a friend of mine that used to play lotto. He would play Mega Millions, and at some point, like I would do it with him because he was in uh a live techno group, and wherever we went actually around the country, he would go buy lotto tickets. Actually, he would buy the that's right, he would buy the local lotto tickets, and I would do it with him until actually there was a point actually where it just made no sense because I realized that the dollar in a dream is just there's no it's not gonna produce anything. And my effort actually can do anything if I want to, be, a decamillionaire by the time I'm 50. I have everything I need to do. It's whether I'm going to do it or not. It's my choice. It's if I choose actually to say screw my kids, I'm not going to see them, and I'm going to work, 80 hours a week. And that's what I'm going to do. I could hit any and every goal I set aside for myself. But, you know, I make that choice saying, okay, maybe by 50, I can wait a little longer. But the idea is that we all have that control. We all make that decision. We all decide actually, if we're just okay with, um, having a salary, working, um, but I don't think I see people, and I hope I'm not offending anyone who's kind of taken that route. But my guess is you're probably not listening to this podcast if you are. But um, I'm just doesn't satisfy me. It doesn't, like, knowing
What
that I'm just
route?
gonna have the route of being average and being one of actually being an employee, even though I am an employee right now in at some capacity, but my mindset is not an employee mindset.
Well, I would say that's bad. That's not a good thing. And that I'm saying this for all the listeners that are exactly in that position, that are deluding themselves to think that that's not a bad. That's the majority of people that I would challenge you all, like, don't do that.
Okay, so
Don't
so
do
give
it.
me so so
Because yeah, I
let's
think it's a binary. I think you're either sick or twisted and self-centered enough to go all in on the one thing, or sick, twisted, self-centered, and maybe integrative enough to bring the tribe along. Like, those are the interpersonal relationships. Like hey, everybody man the fort. Let's build this thing together. Or, if I'm not a leader, I'm following a leader.
I mean, but so you
So
don't.
no, I think that is that and I'll say this, the employers out there that are convincing their people that they're entrepreneurs are taking advantage of their people, because now we're bought into this postmodern gruel it's slowly seeped into our business culture. It's like now I'm just half-assed at multiple things. Like, no, I think that I think this is good because everybody can relate to this, right? Everybody can relate to this. We're all confused. We're not getting, it's not clear, right? What's the right way to go about it? What we should do. You know, that's what we have to have these conversations. Raw, unedited, and not like thought through well. It's like this is what people are going through, what people are feeling. Like, should I be a decamillionaire? Should I give a fuck about that? What should my priorities be? Should I want to start a business? Should I not? Should I feel like less than if I don't? It's like nobody knows the answer to this. But I can tell you this, just like a view of it. Why would be if I'm working for somebody, I'm an employee, not an intrapreneur. That word has no meaning. Intrapreneur. That is the fact that we even have to say that. If I work for a company that has an open culture where I can work my way up the hierarchy. What I say is listened to. I have the ability to do my job to the job description without the person above me undermining and second guessing every single thing I do. I trust my organization because it is demonstrated it trusts me to do my job within the context of my role. I'm going to be a damn productive employee, and I'll work my way up that organization. That's not entrepreneurial. That's an employee, like a productive and empowered employee.
And if that employee does, you know,
I feel like we're just labeling that, which is like, this is how I'm trying to take, like our culture, not all cultures, like these are the effed up toxic ones that are doing this. They're labeling the employee that's able to do their job, that's being led well by those that are in charge. I'm looking for entrepreneurs.
So Jay, I mean,
let me finish the thought, or it's not going to make
okay.
any sense. It's too abstract. Like people got to get this. There's no one talking about this that I've consumed everything. It's like I'm looking for entrepreneurs. It's a made up term. I want great people. I've got to be great to attract and keep great people. What if the labeling of that is really a reflection back to me that I'm not a great leader? Meaning I now am not listen. I don't listen well. Meaning I didn't unlearn what it took to found my business. I'm still a founder psychologically, and I'm not an executive, a chief executive. I think a lot of that comes from the lack of awareness and education of the people that are in control of these companies that are saying, I'm looking for entrepreneurs. You're looking for talented, bought in, smart people that you create an environment where they can be talented and smart and good and get things done. But convincing them that there's something they're not, this is where I'm saying there's malevolence in that. And even if I'm not doing it intentionally, I might be doing it because I haven't thought it through much. I'm the owner or whatever. Convincing people of things that are not true, you know, or guiding people to ideas that are half truths doesn't help anybody. So that's I don't believe in the entrepreneur. I think it's a made up. It has little meaning. It more so reveals how poorly our leaders are leading, as opposed to any
Yeah.
type of description of some new type of employee. Yeah.
So I agree with some of what you said. I do think when the leader, uses that and says, I want a bunch of, entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs, whatever, like when the leader says that, that's when you need to be careful. It
Well, in their
is
defense, though, everybody's saying it. People say things they don't understand every day.
so so to me,
It's normal.
it is the individual's, kind of mindset more than anything. Like the individual, um, I mean, just it's just silly and insignificant, but um, you know, I've always actually I've worked with a lot of great leaders, who ran business units of large corporations, but they kind of controlled those the destiny of those organizations, but they didn't control the micro expenses, but yet they saved the paper clips, from the files before they threw the pieces of paper away. They might be a company that's doing $50 million worth of business, but they save the paper clips, just because they're thinking about um the work that they're doing as a business owner, and while they're not able to control everything because they might not be the overall organization leader, but we all have a boss, like, and that boss, you know I mean, heck, if we want to get spiritual, we can go there. But I mean, the boss might be your regulators, might be the market. So you're always, appeasing someone else besides your own interest. As a leader, for your organization to grow, you have to listen to your customers. Your customers, obviously, but without them and without listening to them and without being a servant to them, you've got nothing. So, it's like there's always going to be a boss, and this is kind of like the way I look at it. And while yes, you can be an entrepreneur, um, and fully be out there starting your own organization, but you can also bring that kind of mindset into your own organization. Great example, loan originators are entrepreneurs inside of organizations that have leadership, that they might not necessarily subscribe to, but because the structure of that organization works for their business model, they're they're bought into that. Now, we could say actually that maybe that's not a great thing long term, but something for that intrapreneur originator, it doesn't make a difference because that's the best place for them right now in this point in their career. Maybe in 5 years it's going to be something else. So I do think it's almost like there's in a leadership spectrum.
Okay, here's
Um,
something.
yeah,
Things are changing. You said something very powerful. Without listening to your customers, you got nothing. Before social platforms, sure. But if my customers are watching me and they've made up their mind already, they've only been watching me by talking at them. I've not listened to them whatsoever. I'm just talking at them, meaning I'm talking. I'm, and so customers have already made up their
oh
mind.
shit,
And so I know we have to end this
I'm so,
part one of
I'm so sorry.
um where I'm going. We could cliffhanger it here. What's the impact social platforms have on people that attain customers? Because customers don't have to be listened to. They make up their mind already. And what type of entrepreneur is that creating?